My name is Jennifer and welcome to today's Learning Lab, your introduction to satellites. The very first human-built satellite mission was Sputnik 1 in 1957, and satellites have been orbiting our planet ever since. There are different types of satellite though, so when we talk about satellites, what do we mean? The Moon is a satellite of Earth. The Earth is a satellite of the Sun. Essentially, anything that orbits another thing in space is a satellite, and many natural satellites have been there since the solar system formed, or slightly after. Artificial satellites are objects which we have built, which allow us to either look into space without the Earth's atmosphere to get in the way, or look back at our planet to help us understand it better. From now on, when we talk about satellites, we're going to be talking about artificial satellites. These have a huge range of different designs and uses. Arguably, the most famous satellite in orbit right now is the International Space Station, which passes over the surface of the planet at a height of 400 kilometres. This enormous orbiting laboratory has been in space for 20 years, and scientists on board carry out experiments in microgravity conditions that we just can't replicate here on Earth. Carrying out experiments in microgravity isn't the only reason we launch satellites into space. For astronomers, the people who study the stars, the Earth's atmosphere can be challenging for a few different reasons. To avoid clouds, very large telescopes are usually built on top of tall mountains or high desert plateaus. But the atmosphere can still cause problems there. No matter how high up you are, you're still on the Earth's surface. The atmosphere will make the stars twinkle and appear to wobble, and will also absorb some of the starlight, robbing the astronomers of vital information about the stars they're trying to observe. So to avoid that, we launch satellites into space. The Hubble Space Telescope is one such satellite that has been peering deep into space, taking photos like the extreme deep field. This spectacular shot contains about 5,000 galaxies, some of them over 13 billion years old. And that wouldn't have been possible from a telescope on the ground. Astronomers aren't the only people being helped by satellites though. They look back towards Earth too, and from broadcasting international football matches to allowing us to predict the weather, even save lives after disasters, and track the changes that we're making to the climate and the natural environment, satellites are an integral part of modern life. It's possible that you're most familiar with the satellites that help you find your way around a new city or track you as you go for a run or a cycle. This worldwide system is known as the Global Navigation Satellite System, or GNSS for short. And using a constellation of satellites, ground stations and the receivers in your phone or your smartwatch, you can work out where you are to an impressive level of accuracy. They do this thanks to the fact that we know where the GNSS satellites are at any given time. The satellites are constantly transmitting a signal which the receiver in your phone listens out for. Once the receiver has heard from 4 or more satellites, it can calculate your distance from each of them and works out where you are down to an accuracy of a couple of meters or less. Satellites don't have to be the size of a football pitch or even as big as a bus to be useful. Some of the approximately 2,500 satellites that are in space right now are much smaller than you'd expect, so small that you could hold one in your hand. CubeSats are a particular kind of small satellite designed to make it easier and cheaper to launch experiments and instruments into space, for example by school and university students. They're made up of units a bit like Lego blocks that are 10cm cubes, which means they can essentially be stacked together to create customizable satellites that can monitor things like flight paths of planes, how busy shipping lanes are, weather pollution, or even the colour of the oceans. Scotland, and Glasgow specifically, is at the cutting edge of small satellite technology. Companies like AAC Clyde Space have been building small satellites in Glasgow since 2014. To date, well over 100 Scottish-built satellites have been launched into orbit, and these innovative companies continue to go from strength to strength. Glasgow is well known for its engineering prowess, and when it comes to looking to the future, it's exciting to know that we get to look towards space too. Thanks for listening today, and that was your introduction to satellites.